Welcome to this session of Straight Drive. Namaskar. I am Sudhanshu Mani. Friends, in these raging pandemic times, which in its second wave has also affected many children, students have been protesting, mainly online protests, for not holding the class 12 exams. Now they have perhaps got what most of them wanted. First time in the history, 2021 would be a no exam year for school leaving. Just like class 10, class 12 board exams will also not take place this year. BSE, CIS, CE class 12 exams cancelled, a news which affects nearly 1 crore students. The decision came after the PM held a meeting with several high profile ministers. And what he said is this: the government has decided to cancel the class 12 CBSE board exams after extensive consultations. We have taken a decision that is student friendly, one that safeguards the health as well as future of our youth. Health and safety of our students is of utmost importance, and there would be no compromise on this aspect. Anxiety among students, parents, and teachers, which must be put to an end. And students should not be forced to appear for exams in such a stressful situation. So, friends, cancellation of CISCE class exam followed soon. But this matter of cancellation of CBSE and CISCE exams is not simple. There are many implications. To understand the issue better, we have with us Dr. Urvashi Sahni, a social entrepreneur, women's rights activist, educationist. She has been working for the rights of children and women for over 3 decades through various organizations she runs. She is a leading expert in school governance, curriculum reforms, and teachers training, with a special focus on girls' education and use of technology in education. Dr. Sahni is an Ashoka Fellow, a Schwab Fellow, and a non-resident Fellow of Brookings Institute, Washington, D.C. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, how are you?
So I'll begin straight away, ma'am, with a very simple first question. So how do you see this decision to cancel the CBSE and CISE exams?
First of all, thank you, Sudhanshu, for inviting me. And it is really a burning question. And for people like us who are working with children and schools and teachers and principals, it's just the main thing on people's mind right now. How do I view it? I think overall, I think it's a good decision. You don't want to run into the third wave and be one of the causes of the third wave. Just as the panchayat elections, we ran into that and you know what happened after that. Right. But with this, I think given the current situation, I think it was a wise decision to take. At the same time, here's my concern. My concerns are a couple. One is, students and parents, although almost since class 9, they work up to this final class 12 board exam. So they are absolutely left now hanging, not knowing what to do. Some of them who work very hard are, of course, very disheartened and very disappointed. And of course, some are kind of overjoyed, thank God they don't have to do this. At the time, schools as well. I know my principal is she's disappointed. She says, oh, come on, we could have done this. Right? This is not fair to the students and, we worked so hard and we could have done this. At the same time, so I have concerns about that, and the concern about my heart goes out to these students and to the parents. Then they're worried about college admissions. You know that it is the results that count and that determine what colleges children will get into, especially the non-professional ones. So now there's that issue, and people are concerned about that. Parents are concerned about that. Students are concerned about that. I am, on the one hand, I've always held this view, by the way, that these board exams are made too much of. They're too high stakes. and parents and students and teachers invest too much in them. And my message to students and teachers and parents has always been that let's not make more of them than we should. Let's not make it a life and death issue. Let's not make it an all or nothing issue. Let's think of it, put it in perspective. It's a milestone, yes, an important one. Let's consider it like that. But at the same time, all learning and teaching must not be driven only by the boards, which does happen, by the way. Everything ceases. Parents take holiday, they just take leave from their jobs, they don't go on holidays, they just are totally frantic about these exams. So I think I'm hoping that this is a lesson learned. Let's see, they just went. So they can just go and life still goes on. So I do think that maybe this is a good message also, that it is not the be all and end all of all teaching and learning of your entire school career, that learning is the be all and end all of going to school. Learning to think creatively, learning to think imaginatively, learning to think socially and politically, learning to present yourself, to speak, to work in teams, all the 21st century skills, which this exam does not measure. Right? So maybe it gives schools now pause to rethink. Maybe it gives parents, teachers, educators, and even students to rethink the whole purpose of learning, which has, in my opinion, been too exam-driven till now.
Yes. So I get your point here that too much is being made of one single exam, like placing all your eggs in one basket. That's fair enough, ma'am. But two things which I would like to ask at this stage is these two. I mean, I think there should be no delay in cancellation of the state board exams also to make it equitable. And perhaps Supreme Court is also seized of the matter. What do you think about that? And number two, yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. In fact, today 6 states have cancelled, and I'm sure others will follow. Okay, I'm quite confident that
yes. So as you said, but admission to professional institutes like exams like NEET, JEE, CLAT, and all may not get affected. But at the same time, how would you propose to handle admissions for all non-professional graduation courses all over the country in an equitable manner? How would you like government to handle that?
Yeah. So in the first place, as I mentioned, I think, yes, state boards, I mean, why should it be different? Okay, it's only a different board and the dangers are the same. So definitely they should follow suit. That is one. Secondly, yes, the biggest problem is now what our college is going to do and what is going to be the criteria. Okay, there again, I think it was a very narrow criteria. And to just have cutoffs. And you know how ridiculous they became, right? 99% and 97 and 98. I call them obscene marks, actually.
Yes.
And so, good lesson learned. You can't do that anymore. By the way, the National Education Policy 2020 actually lays it out. It's saying that we should have standardized tests for admission to colleges, right? So, it's true, there isn't enough time to suddenly rejig. Okay, so it is going to be an uphill task, and I think that is what's uppermost on parents and students' mind. Now, what will determine admission into schools in terms of NEET, JEE, etc.? I'm sure that they will also cancel or postpone. I don't know how long they'll postpone it for, because the same dangers apply there. There are very large numbers that take these exams, and you're going to have the same problems about the pandemic issues that are driving the cancellation of these exams. They will have to find a via media. We are still awaiting, by the way, instructions from CBSE board, all CBSE schools, on how now are they going to assess these class 12 children. Right? Which to my mind, again, is a very good exercise that boards must go through and educators, because assessment is a very important part of teaching and learning, and to have intelligent assessments is also very important. And to my mind, so far, they really have been very narrow. So this gives them a broader base. It's going to be a mix there was a formula for class 10, which were cancelled before this, which has driven all the teachers and principals crazy, by the way. It's a pretty complex formula. I won't go into it just now. But also the problem with that is there are schools that will do it honestly and there are schools that will not. And then people, the honest ones get shortchanged, which is probably normally that happens. And so there's a problem of that. And now educators and principals and teachers are shuddering and saying, oh my God, now what do we do with class 12? Okay. So it will be a mix of internal assessments, continuous CCE, the continuous comprehensive evaluation, and class 10 exams, the results of those, which again isn't fair because sometimes there is a large jump that students make between class 10 and class 12, right? So we are still awaiting that, but everything is up in the air. And I think colleges are going to have to develop some kind of an entrance exam to determine and give some weightage to school assessment and some weightage to their own college assessments. It will have to be an online assessment and they will have to come up with this very quickly and probably take lessons from countries abroad which have the SAT. Right?
Yeah.
You spoke of equity, Sudhanshu, and I want to speak of that. There, I think this decision to cancel exams is a wise one. There have been huge learning losses for people on the wrong side of the digital divide, and our majority is there because they have not had the benefit of good, high-quality online teaching during this time. They just haven't had the devices, they haven't had the connectivity, and so it has been very hard on them. Then to get them to compete with schools like Study Hall and others that have the resources would have been very, very unfair. So I think that in all, it's a good decision. Also, it will take care of some equity issues. And the best bet is for colleges now to come up and universities to come up with their own simple online testing. And also, to my mind, some kind of an aptitude testing, which will help students to apply. And it has to be simple. Simple has to be the key word if you want it to be equitable and if you want it to reach out as many students as you possibly can.
Okay, ma'am. So what I understand, as a long-term perspective, it's a good measure not to have so much stress on one exam. This has happened not by design, but because of compulsion. So far, so good. But now the problem is it's a catch-22 situation. You don't have time and you have to decide it quickly. It's a tall order to really work out an equitable arrangement of assessing students in such a short time. So our heart goes out to the students of class 12 this year. And some message for them because they are the ones who really would be stressful nowadays and psychological rejuvenation for them is important. I would like to say something, you to say something about that.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. Yes. And before I do that, I just want to say that, this COVID, if it has taught us anything, along with the coronavirus spike, there has been a spike of the creativity quotient all around and the caring quotient. People have come up with solutions almost like this, just because they had to. And so I have faith that even with this situation, colleges, universities, they will come up with a solution. And then maybe that's a lesson to learn and to draw from going forward. My message to the students, which I have already been talking to our own class 12 students, is one, to calm down. Just calm down. We need to bring down the anxiety level and say that don't worry, that where there are problems, and this has created a problem, there are solutions. And everyone is working at the solution very, very hard. Of course, my heart goes out to them because they are left in a limbo, a lot of them, and to parents, right? And they are very, very worried right now. So I would first try to tell them, children, this is a difficult time. This is unusual times. It's unprecedented. And so unusual times, unprecedented times require desperate measures. Desperate times require desperate measures. And so there are lessons to learn from this that we will take forward. And I always tell them, remember, you're part of history. When you grow older, you will be telling your children, oh, at this time, this is what happened, right? And to think of the silver lining, no exams. Wow, yippee, that's one. Okay. And two, that all right, have some patience, take some heart, have some courage, and let's get creative and let's get adventurous and imaginative and welcome the new. This is different, this is new, and let's give it a shot and let's see what comes out of it, right? And also to think that they are not the only ones who are worried. Educators, heads of these various boards, governments are also concerned. Universities, colleges, they're all concerned and they're all trying to work out a solution. All of us are trying. So don't worry. So don't worry would be my most important message. And the second thing would be there's always something to be learned from anything that happens. So just look at this as new. And if you embrace it as something new, it will bring down your anxiety.
Okay, ma'am. So I'm sure you will be giving your inputs to as an important stakeholders to those who matter. And I'm sure the decision that is taken about admissions would be something would be well thought out given the circumstances. But in any case, when the decision is out, we would like to know your reaction and come back to you at that stage. Thank you very much for joining this show tonight. And I will be talking to you again. And viewers, I hope you are a little wiser about the issue today. We will end the program now and join you again next Thursday in Straight Drive. Namaskar.